Good morning, students. Welcome once again to Pedagogical Content Knowledge in Biology. This is session 2 of Unit 1. And in session 2, we are going to know when you should improvise. When do you improvise? When do you improvise? So, the objective for this session is to state when to improvise a biology teaching material or when to improvise in biology teaching, and then to explain when to improvise in biology teaching. Okay, you state when to improvise and you explain when to improvise. That is our objective for this session. So now we want to know when to improvise. When to improvise. But before you know that, let us discuss these things, or let me take you through these prelims before we move to when do you have to improvise as a teacher. So the biology teacher needs to improvise when resources are scarce or can be, or when resources are not available. Yeah, let's take it like when the resources are not available, or when the resources can be substituted with local ones. Yes. So the resources here, I'm talking of materials and equipment. Okay, so when resources are scarce, or when resources can be substituted with local ones, or when the real objects are not available. When the real objects are not available. But we should also appreciate that resources may be human or non-human. So the human resources could be a colleague teacher of yours or somebody as a reference, and the non-human could be materials or equipment. So let me give an example here for the human resources. Maybe a colleague teacher could be a resource who is in a position to explain certain topics or issues on which he or she has a better understanding, as well as the use of improvised biology resource materials. You understand? Or a local artisan could be a resource to explain to the students that the use of locally made materials or artifacts could help them in their understanding, or that artisan could develop or create a material that can be used for improvisation. So this is the human resources I want you to understand. Somebody who could serve as a reference material, a reference point, or an artisan or a craftsman who can develop a particular equipment so that you use it in your teaching, because the real object or the real material you want to use is not available. Now, when do you improvise? When do you improvise? This is the main question. You first look at equipment and materials. Equipment and then materials. Now, if the available equipment or materials are unaffordable due to high costs, and the improvised one can serve the same purpose, that is when you can improvise. So if the materials are available, you can't afford it, or the price is high or too much, then you improvise. You improvise with a different material. Okay, with a different material. So we should note that textbooks are the most commonly used in schools. Textbooks are the most commonly used in schools, and then students depend heavily on their teacher and textbooks. Okay, you the teacher, student depend on you. Okay, and then the textbooks available in the school, and then textbooks in science represent science subject matter to students, and then these textbooks are often used as primary organizer of science subject matter. Okay, and then these same textbooks indicate what students are expected to master. So textbooks are improvised form. You understand? Textbooks are improvised form. So textbooks support teachers as the authoritative source of information, and then notwithstanding, it is a bad practice to substitute them for teaching biology because they could have minimal effect on the student's intellectual ability. So if the teacher is not available, it doesn't mean that you should rely on the textbooks. You should rely on the textbook because some textbooks have errors in them. Some textbooks are not prepared well, and then if these textbooks fall into the hands of students, it becomes very bad. Students rely on these textbooks, prepare and go and write exams thinking they have understood or the textbook has guided them to understand the subject matter, but meanwhile that is not the case. So all the time I advise that teachers should be present in class to teach students, to guide them understand a particular concept or explain certain subject matter to students for them to understand. Okay, so we move to encouraging creativity. Encouraging creativity. That is when you are supposed to improvise to encourage what? Creativity. So now let me explain this point, encouraging creativity. There is the need to promote technological transfer through encouraging creativity using environmental resources. Okay, so the community constitutes a natural environment for informal science learning, as in playgrounds, in the kitchen or sports field or market or hospital, industries, science centers, Zoom, in the back garden or a rubbish type. So all these things form part of the environment. And then this environment is it enables students to be creative, innovative, and then come up with meaningful ideas, solve problems in the society. You understand? So the environment is serving as a source of encouragement, creativity. So this is when you are supposed to improvise. You go in a particular environment. If students wants to observe certain things in the hospital, you send students there. If you give students project, you inform them that okay, they can go to the let's say to the zoo or any science center. You the teacher, you lead them there. That is when you have improvised. Okay, you have improvised. So all these things encourage creativity. The next point is replacing of damaged equipment. Replacing of damaged equipment. Now with this point, there is an urgent need to replace damaged equipment in order to continue class activities. So biology teaching is activity based, and effective biology learning is by doing. You understand? So something like hands-on activity, that is biology. So for a student to master manipulative skills, he or she must be given opportunities to toy with materials. So if the raw materials are costly, the teacher must improvise so that the students will be able to construct their own knowledge and an understanding. But biology learning demands that a teacher should create varied opportunities for biology students to engage in activities that enable them to make sense of the world around them. So that is the point for replacing of damaged equipment. And then you are supposed to improvise when there is lack of material. So if a particular material is not in stock, then you the teacher, you have to improvise. So with this point, I'm trying to say that teaching becomes ineffective and boring due to lack of materials and then equipment, as we all know. And then the biology teacher needs resources to facilitate and bring reality to the instructional process. Okay, so when there are certain materials you used to use in your teaching and now it's not available, then you have to improvise. Okay, so we've learned a lot in this session, and then in reviewing what we've learned so far, I want you students to discuss this question, okay, and then you find answers to these questions. So these questions, I believe when you discuss them, it cut across what we've learned so far. So it is serving as a review question for this particular session. So question one, I'm saying that when is the biology teacher required to improvise in biology teaching? Okay, and then question two, I'm saying explain whether the timing of improvisation is necessary in biology learning. And then the third question, I'm saying that teaching of biology becomes effective and interesting due to lack of materials and equipment. True or false? True or false? So, my dear students, I want you to discuss this question on any available e-learning platform. It could be Zoom or Google Meet. Okay, so one of you can create a Zoom link or a Google Meet, and then you guys will join and then discuss the question.